Hi all, my name is Olga, and on this channel I talk about learning languages and English in particular. And in this video I will tell you which English tenses you need to learn and at which stage. As you know, there are all in all 12 English tenses. You don't actually need kind of every day, all of them in any situation, but it really depends on how you use your language. I will add a free PDF of all language forms, of all tenses forms in the description, so make sure to follow the link, download this worksheet and see whether you actually can form all of them. And it will help you to understand better what I'm talking about. So, when you start learning the language, so you are at the level A1. If you are not acquainted with several language levels, I will add somewhere here a link to my video that will clarify you what this A1, A2, B1, B2, C1 and C2 things are. So A1, that's the beginner level, the very start. As soon as we start learning some kind of verbs or something, we have to use some tense. And usually this is present simple. At this stage, present simple is not clarified, but that's what I call a spiral. So you keep returning to the same point. You will meet present simple, the very first tense, at A1, A2, B1 and even B2 level, and every time you get back to that, you learn something new about it. So, A1 starts with present simple. Okay, so that's everyday stuff that you do every day. Fantastic. Sometimes some teachers and some course books add present continuous at this stage as well. Well, why not? It depends on the group. Usually it's rather easy to make and we can get acquainted with that. That's not key. So the key thing, I would say, is to learn present simple, how to form it, and this will actually kind of change your thinking, because this very first tense will give you the general idea of how English tenses are formed, what the logic is there, how negations are formed, how questions are formed, and so on and so forth. So present simple, of course you will need future simple, because naturally you want to talk about things that will happen in the future, that you plan to do in the future. So, and past simple, for the absolutely same reason. You want to talk about things that happened in the past, not every day, but once in the past. So, present simple, past simple, and future simple. They are the three tenses that we all need at A1 level. At A2 level, all of these tenses stay, they're used, maybe studied a little bit more, like past simple, so irregular verbs need more and more attention. Present simple, maybe you will understand some other meanings of this tense. Future simple will stay as it is. And what we add at A2 is present continuous in a more serious way, like what that is, how to use that, how to form negations, questions, what meanings there are, and so on. And of course, past continuous. And together with past continuous, we start this conversation about narrative tenses. Like, what's the combination of past continuous and past continuous, or past continuous and past simple, and so on and so forth. So, narrative tenses part 1 comes here at A2 in a very brief form, in a very kind of limited form. We develop it further at B1. What else do we add at B1? So present perfect. Yeah, that's the big story at B1. So we continue developing narrative tenses, which is past simple and past continuous. And we also start talking about the differences between past simple and present perfect. It is especially actual for languages where this difference is not very clear. The native language of the students, because in some languages that's exactly the same, and then there is no conversation about that. If it happens to be not like that for you, then this is a separate story, the same style as narrative tenses, so it will keep developing throughout all the levels. The same here. So you will start with just visual difference and some keywords, and with time you will keep, like spiral, you remember, you will keep returning to the same point but at a different height and a little bit different position, yeah? So you will realize and kind of clarify for yourself these differences more and more. The more you study, the more examples you see, the more samples you hear in the real world, and so on and so forth. So for now, we have present simple, past simple, future simple, past simple in combination with past continuous, and the comparison, the difference of past simple and present perfect. So at B2, we continue developing this narrative tenses story, and we add there past perfect. And naturally, we will have combinations of past perfect with past simple, and together with that, how in a text past perfect is used with past simple and with past continuous, because they always come as one package, and we need to adequately understand what people tell us. We need to understand the tenses really well and use them really well. At this B2 level, we can also add things like future continuous. So we have already present continuous, past continuous, so we understand the idea, so it's pretty easy to start using and start understanding future continuous much better. It's not a long story there, so kind of the teacher shows you, you practice a little bit, and it's pretty much the same as present continuous and past continuous, but the teacher needs to kind of clarify necessary points there. We also can have a look at present perfect continuous. So you remember we introduced present perfect somewhere at the end of A2, maybe B1 for sure, and at the end of B2 we usually have this kind of present perfect continuous. Now let's combine present perfect and present continuous and try to build this pretty long form and start using it and understand in what kind of situations we need not just present perfect but present perfect continuous. So up to now we have had almost all of the tenses, so we have only the most exotic ones left. So let's see, at C1 we will have to talk about future perfect. Since you already know present perfect and past perfect, it will be pretty easy for you to grasp the idea of future perfect. We started present perfect continuous, and we are more or less ready to talk about past perfect continuous and future perfect continuous. I want to tell you honestly that these perfect continuous tenses, present, future and past, they are not used that much, but it's really valuable to understand what exactly they mean. And understanding them is pretty easy if you already know what present perfect is, what perfect tenses are, what they actually mean, all of the tenses in perfect aspect, and what continuous tenses mean in all of the tenses. It doesn't matter, so this is the aspect, continuous, what they can represent. And then you just need to combine them and enjoy the result. These things are used. Sometimes I hear this, legend, let's say, that we need only 2, 3, 4 tenses. Native speakers use only 4 of them. Okay, but that's a little bit, it depends on what kind of native or kind of original, authentic materials you deal with and you see. If you open any kind of business correspondence, you will see all 12 tenses there and much more topics from the thick book that's called English Grammar or Grammar of the English Language. If you open a newspaper, you're very likely to see all of them, are not only active but also passive ones. If you talk to someone on the street, yeah, quite likely that it will be present simple, maybe past simple, present perfect for sure, especially for British people. Americans do not kind of favorite, let's say, so they substituted it with past simple and they're pretty happy with that. So it really depends. So it's very difficult to answer the question, how many tenses do I need? All of them. So it's my recipe here, my piece of advice here is you need to be able to understand all of them. And this will come automatically in the course of learning. By automatically, I mean that you cannot learn the language without really understanding what perfect is, what continuous is. And once you understand these two things, that's it. Your breakthrough has already happened. You understand this stuff. Then you need just to play with these blocks, and this is much easier than learning something completely new. So you need to understand all 12 tenses. Producing maybe perfect continuous ones, it's okay if they're a little bit complicated for you to produce. Let's put it like that. But all simple tenses should be easy. All continuous tenses should be easy. Present perfect should be easy. So these seven tenses should be automatized pretty early. And of course, if you want to make a presentation on some fancy science conference, well, chances are you will need all of them in a very active form. So I hope this was helpful. At least you know what to start with if you are learning English independently. Then start with present simple and present continuous maybe, past simple, future simple. So these simple tenses will basically cover your basic needs. Then continue with continuous tenses, present continuous, past continuous, and combinations of different past tenses. And then you can dig deeper and look at the differences between present perfect and past simple, and combinations of past continuous, past simple, and past perfect for narratives. And the last thing that will happen to your English tenses is perfect continuous. All three perfect continuous tenses, starting with present perfect continuous and continuing with past and future perfect continuous. I hope this was very helpful. If it was, you know what to do. Subscribe and write in the comments what kind of topics you would really like to see, to hear. You would really like them to be discussed. Things that you are interested in. This is very valuable for me. That's very, very important for the development of the channel. Download the table with tenses. It's super helpful. And see you in the next video. Bye.